Hello again, YouTube. My name is Amisbro, and for this video we are doing a first impressions. This is the fourth first impressions video that we have now done, and this is the final one for the channel for this season. And this is an interesting one because we are covering a rugby anime for the first time, and I think this is the first rugby anime that we've done or seen. Period. I know there's an American football one called Ice Shield 21, but this one's going to be an interesting one, definitely to be watching. This one covers the school known as Kanagawa High School and their rugby team. And in the first episode, we were introduced to a couple different individuals, and those individuals are named Kenji, Gion, Sumiaki, Iwashimizu, Mitsumi Hachioji, and lastly but certainly not least, Tagawa Sekizan. Now, here's something we have to establish real quick. The first two characters, excuse me, in Sumiaki and Kenji, they are pretty much almost going to be the focus of the series, because whereas a lot of sports animes have had what we'll call the light and the shadow, that's literally what we're having here. This interesting duo is going to be, in this case, the tall and the small. For those that are on Tumblr, they know exactly what that means. Anyway, Kenji is he's one of the main characters, and he's kind of short. Like, no joke, he has to get on his tiptoes even to get to his shoe locker. Meanwhile, we meet Sumiaki, and he is a giant. Like, I called him, I believe, the Andre the Giant of the series, which is an interesting way of looking at it, but he is. Legitimately, he's as tall as, like, Andre the Giant. And when you see the guy, you'll know why. But it's very interesting because you usually would think a big, tall guy like him, like even when we had Kagami in Kuroko's Baseball, you would think a big, tall guy like him would be a bit more outspoken and a more dynamic character. He's a bit more sheepish, a bit more timid, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's funny is when you see Kenji, holy smokes. These two I literally call the Elrics of this anime, because you have Kenji, who is, like I said, kind of short, and Sumiaki, who is the giant. So he's going to play Al, while Kenji plays Ed. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's going to be a very interesting dynamic between just those two. Then we bring in these other characters. Like I said, when we bring in our dear friend Mutsumi, he's a very interesting character because he's a very energetic, but he's also kind of stocky. He's kind of like short, stocky, pudgy, whatever term you want to use. And he's so full of life, so full of energy, like positive energy, that he will literally gang tackle his friend. And it's so hysterical that I guess they've been friends since middle school. It's hysterical just to see it, but it's also really, really, really awesome because their relationship, you can tell, is going to be one of support in many respects over time, as it will be with Sumiaki and Kenji. Matter of fact, in the very beginning, there was a scene where Kenji was going to fight some of the students because they were picking on the guy and the dude literally picks him up with one hand and runs him around the building carrying him. It's the funniest thing ever. I was sitting up looking at this like, oh my god, what do we got here? So you're going to have that dynamic. Plus, like I said, we have Sekizan, who, well, let's just say, he can tackle you. But so can a giant, because that's actually, something that you find out later. Anyway, we've discussed that. Really, there's not much, like I said, if it sounds like I'm not talking about much, it's because really not a lot happened, but you do get introduced to a lot of the characters and the backstory. And I'm actually going to leave that to you to find out, so that's why I'm not really going over it that much. But let's talk about the animation. The animation was done by Madhouse. Now, if Madhouse sounds familiar, they did the animation for Princess Stride Alternative. And they did a very, very good job with it, I think. I would love to know what the ending song that they used for All Out is, because it was brilliant. I loved it. But it was also kind of a mellow song, which is interesting, because how do I explain this? When you think of rugby, and rugby is not a pretty sport. Matter of fact, of the 4 animes we're covering, this is the most ugly as far as the characters you're going to be seeing, because they're not pretty. Like I said, they're not. They're going to get down, they're going to get dirty, they're going to get grimy. That's what rugby is. If you find me a rugby player that, looks all, pretty and beachy, like, my god, we're watching a totally different program. But that's something to really look for when we watch this season, and just this season in general, as far as the anime, because this is the standout one, because it says we're not going to make our characters look super pretty. You could say Sumiaki does kind of have like a beachy element to him, but he's also a very more aggressive character if you push his buttons. And he's also, if you want to compare him to, say, Kisryota, he's also a lot less outgoing right now. He's a lot more sheepish, like I said. And that's going to be a very interesting thing to look at. Okay? So, animation style, they did a really good job, I think. And they're going to be able to capture easier in many respects the essence and the element of this sport. Like, Madhouse did a really good job with capturing the idea of basically parkour and free running in Stride, but now you have a grittier sport to deal with. And that's awesome. Let's see what they can do with it. And let's work it out. You know what I'm saying? So, we definitely are going to be seeing, I think, a lot of grittiness, maybe a lot more realism. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of, like, you know how, like, in some sports animes we have a lot of over-the-top super moves? I don't know if you're getting that here. I just don't yet. Doesn't look like it. Although the tackles, when somebody gets tackled, they can fly back about 50 feet, so maybe, but other than that, right now, as far as characters go, because we don't know a lot of the backstories, we can't really get emotionally invested in them, but that's fine. I'm cool with that. Let's slowly build it up. And when we get by the end of this season, because I'm thinking it's going to be a couple of seasons, we'll be able to say what characters we're more emotionally invested in, and that's going to help us. I don't know where the story is going to go, because I don't know if there's a manga for this that this is being adapted from. That's one thing. But number two, I just don't know where the story is going to go, period. I'm guessing by the end of the season they're probably going to have lost a match, and then they're gonna have to come back and get ready to punch somebody in the mouth again. That's cool. Let's do that. Let's get down, let's get dirty, let's get gritty. Let's show how brutal this sport can be. I don't want to see an overly superpowered, and it probably will be to a degree, adaptation of rugby. I want to see it down and dirty and gritty and grimy. That's what I want to see. And I'm hoping that's what we get. A faithful adaptation of the sport here. I let Kuroko's best ball get away with it a little bit because the characters and the connection, emotional investment in the characters that I made over the course of 75 episodes helped out. Beautiful. Here I wanted to keep it as realistic as possible because here it's outdoors. It's in the elements. It's in the snow. It's in the rain. It's in the wind. It's in everything. Let's see what they do now. Do you see what I'm saying? I really think they have something on their hands here, but I don't know where they're going with the story yet. So I don't know where the plot progression is going to end up by the end of this season. And we have 24 episodes left of it because it was announced ahead of time. This will be a 25 episode season. Will there be more seasons? More than likely. How many? I'm guessing at least 3. But maybe that's just me. I do recommend that you check out this particular series, and it is being shown in dub form on Funimation, in sub form on Crunchyroll. So take your pick. Now it's not on dub form yet. It's going to be about another week or so. But if you want to check it out in English, that's Funimation. If you want the sub version, Crunchyroll. Take your pick, and I will talk to you all. I don't know when. I'm thinking I'm going to be working on a game that I have picked, a couple of games I have picked up, and one of them is the Psychopaths game, Mandatory Happiness, and I'm also going to be working on the original Danganronpa. So I don't know when I'm going to get those reviews out. I know I have a bunch of other ones that are still outstanding, but I promise you, you're going to get some game reviews coming in the near future, and you need to stick around. So, until then, my friends, I will talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.